All right. What's up, guys? This is lesson two, a continuation from the first video, which was pretty much how to do a piece from a tag, how to do a tag and then turn that into a piece. The super basic style of lettering. I'm gonna use the iPad this time just because it'll be quicker, and easier to illustrate what I'm trying to convey in this lesson. So just a quick overcap of what we did last time. We did a tag, but we did the tag one letter at a time, and then we went ahead and outlined that letter and then did the next letter. So just doing the word rocks, let's switch it up a little bit. So we'll do the R first. Let me add another layer here, right? Just it's easier this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to trace around the green part of the R. Now you don't have to keep it even on all the sides, but just trace around it and you'll see whatever I do on the iPad you could also do on the paper. It's just going to take longer on the paper to do it, but it's still doable. All right, so there's the R. Now we're going to go ahead and do the O. Now that we know where the R is going to be. It's going to be here. That's its space. So now we do the O. Okay, now we trace around that O. Same shit. Just trace around it. It doesn't matter if the letters overlap or not. Just trace around the green. If you trace more on one side than the other, it doesn't matter. All that stuff can work out in your favor. And I'll try and explain why later. Okay, so there's our C. And you see we're doing this super basic. It's pretty simple. It's not hard at all. And this is not even like a crazy like tag either. It's pretty basic. It's nothing fancy. Obviously, the more you get, the better you get at tagging. Using different utensils, and you can do different things with it. It's pretty cool. I like to use brushes because of the different widths and texture that brushes give you. It can help you add texture and cuts to the letters, but I think that's more of an advanced technique. But anywho, here we are. There's our K. There's our K. So let me go ahead and outline that. Okay, and then finally let's do an S. A lot of people use S's in their names. Okay, so this is, like I said, it's just a quick run through of what we did in the first video. If you guys haven't watched the first video, just go in the channel. You'll see it there. A lot of the feedback was that it was helpful. And keep in mind, this is a lot of like just if you want to learn how to do letters. So if you already have this stuff down, you don't need to bother with these lessons. But anywho, this is what we get when we outline a tag that we do letter by letter. Without the tag in the inside, So if you're doing this on paper, you want to erase the inside with an eraser. So you did your tag, you outline it with a marker or pencil or whatever, and then just go with your eraser and erase it. When you erase it, you're going to end up something like this, where you're going to have a bunch of overlaps here. So you see the letters overlap here. Fuck. The letters overlap here, 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 and here. For our purposes today, we're going to, you don't have to. You can have the overlap. Like say right here, you have the R and the O overlapping. You can choose for the R to overlap the O. Just erase that part of the O. If you want to have the O overlap the R, just erase that part of the R. You know, this is all up to your discretion. But for what we're going to do today, we're going to erase all of the overlaps. So wherever there's an overlap, erase it. Erase that motherfucker. And you'll see why it's a cool little, how do you say, like little details that we can do when we erase these things. And it all has to do with like, I don't know what the term's called, but you kind of want to lead the eye to think that the letter's there. And it adds a good, like a texture to it. I don't know how to really explain it, but I think once I show you, I think you guys will understand. So this is pretty much all the areas where the letters overlap, right? So this is pretty much our basic tag that we have, that we turned into like a mini piece. Now in the later half of the first video, we outlined, we exaggerated some parts. We made some parts thicker and some parts longer. So let's just do that real quick right now, just so that we can continue on with today's video number 2. So let's just pick some parts to exaggerate. Most people do like the extension, so the ends of the letters. People will exaggerate. And you can do that by making it longer or making it thicker. You know, no rule really. It's kind of just however you want to do it. I'm just gonna do mine in the purple so you can see like it's quite simple. I'm just extending from what it originally is, and some areas making it fatter. Okay, so so look at this. So all the purple is or the pink, those are all additions that we did from the original, and the only thing we did was we extended it. So like super easy, we just extended these lines here, and that's it. You could do that with any letter, and anywhere really you could extend it. Just most people tend to do the ends of letters or the sides, like here. So now what we do is let's erase where the extensions come from. So this is the end of the R. I'm going to erase that. The inside of the R. I'm going to erase that. Erase this. And I'll switch to color in a sec. I mean, if you're doing this with paper and pencil, you don't have to do certain steps that I'm going to do here. Just with the iPad, it's easier to illustrate when I want to show. So, and I'll change it all the colors back right now, so it's more unifying. Okay, so this is what it ends up looking like. All right, so this is what we changed it to this now. This is what our piece looks like now. And we could add other things, such as we could add kicks. So let's add some kicks to this, and let me switch to color here so you can see. Kicks are typically on the ends of letters, and you'll see. You could add them wherever you want though. So at the bottom of the R, we'll add a kick here, and I'll do it in orange. It's just like where the end of the letter is. Just add a kick. Not all of them have them. You don't need them. It's not like a requirement, but even top of the O, add a kick here. Top of the C, add a kick there. The bottom of the K, add a kick there. And then the S right here, let's add a kick. So these are all the kicks that we added right there, everything in orange. So what you want to do is just erase the inside of the kick. Same thing as we did with the other stuff. Just erase that. It's gonna be a lot of like erasing and stuff, but once you get the hang of like where you want to do it with like your name or the letters you're doing, you don't even have to do this part. You could just draw directly. You just do the kick from the start. I don't do this step anymore because I know where I want to put the kicks. But if you're learning, this is the best way I think is to do it. Just draw them out. All right, so these are like our basic kicks right here. And we went ahead and so this is what our piece looks like now. I wish I kept the first one. So we went from that tag to this by extending it. We added some kicks and now we're here. All right, so this is again pretty simple, pretty basic, but the whole purpose of the tutorial is just to get to know letters and how they work. So what I would do after this, let me copy this shit, open up another layer. So in this step right here, let's do some cool things. You say, okay, so like these parts, you see where the letters overlap? Let me pick a color that y'all can see. See where these letters overlap here, where they connect? Now we're gonna do an effect with those. So what I wanna do is draw the line. Like let's say I'm gonna pick the R and I'm gonna draw the line of the R, but I'm not gonna connect it the whole way. All right, I'm gonna connect it only a little bit and you'll see right now. So draw the R and only go a little bit. Don't connect it the whole way. And you can do it with any letters. You can do it with the O right there, or you can go this way with the O. It doesn't really matter. Just leave some space blank. Okay, just leave some of the space blank. Now with the C, you see with the R and the O, it's just a quick little line we do because it's on the long part of the letter. It's on these long stretches. You see right there. On the C, since this is on an end, right here. So this is the end of the letter right here, right? Instead of going just like this or like this, we're gonna draw some of the end of the letter, like that, just a little bit, not a lot. Okay, let me erase this because we're supposed to erase all those things. Okay, and then you don't have to do it with everything, but here, let's do that. And okay. All right. So now that you have these little extensions here, you want to come and clean them up. Now, when you clean them up, you'll see what happens. It ends up looking kind of cool. So just make sure they're a little bit thinner than the rest. Okay. So here we go. So you have what you end up having is like your letter, and you can see like it goes into the O, but then it doesn't go in completely. Same thing with the O and the C and the K right here. Like it goes into it, but it doesn't go into it completely. So it kind of they connect, but then you can see where they're different. Now, if you look at the difference between these things, look at the difference. You see, so here, like in the C, you see like the C just goes into the K. It doesn't really have like, I mean, you can tell it's different letters, but when you add that kick, it ends up looking better, I think. And a lot of it's a technique that a lot of people use when they want to mix, when they connect letters. Just adding those little things could add a lot to your piece. I forgot to delete this part here. So you don't have to like. Well, I guess you kind of want to lead the eye to make the person think like it connects there, and you can do that by just doing small lines, not going all the way through. Just making sure it comes to like a point. You know, so when you look at this S right here, you can tell that the S is shaped like, you can tell it's shaped like this, you know, because of these, you can tell that this shape right here, it's one. It's the motions like this. Versus if you don't have that shape there, let's go to here. If you don't have those little cuts in there, you know, you can still tell it's a nest, but how do you know that it's not like this? You know, how do you know that it's not like that? Most writers will know that that's a nest, but just by adding these little things right here, it leads the viewer to see that this is the flow of it's like is like this. You know, so just these little tiny cuts that we did right there, that we'll do right here too. Just make sure it comes to a point. That way, you know, it's clean. You want your shit to be sharp. It gives the impression that the letter's going. So what we're gonna do now at this part is we're gonna add some of these cuts. I don't know. I don't think they have like a specific name, but they're just cuts that go inside the letter. Typically, people put them in like corners or around round spots or round areas, and you'll see why it adds like a cool texture to the letter on the inside. So let's just pick corners and round areas, and what we're gonna do is add these things. So in here we put it in the corner. Here we're gonna put it in the corner. Same here. Here we'll put it in the corner. Here we'll put it in the round spots, on the round areas. And typically these things, they go from like being like real thick in the middle to being thin on the ends. That's just to give it like a true cut, you know, as they get thinner as it stretches out. But it makes sure it adds something real cool to the letter. Motherfucker. You see? It adds some cool things to it. Without even having to do anything really. You know, you just added some line work and it gives it that much detail. And let's add some lines that go all the way across. Anyone, you know, just lines that go all the way across the letter. Add them wherever you want. Okay. And what I'll do with these lines is I'll pick like a corner and make it kind of round, just so it looks like it's not like cut, I guess, even though we did, just to give it different levels here. Let's see. All right, now that we have these little cuts in the letter, let's go and add these little cuts here on the corners. Just like we did that corner here, you can also do it here. You can do it here, here, up here, and here. My voice came out. Sounded kind of weird there. So here we are. We just added these little cuts on the inside. We added cuts that go all the way through, and added cuts on the inside of that. You don't have to do them to all of them. Like, see, this one we didn't. But I know everyone knows how to do these cuts. Typically, like the old school ways, you do the line across and you do that, which everyone knows how to do. Everyone, for the most part, incorporates those things when you're learning how to do graph letters. But we can leave that there and still include our other cuts, these ones. Just remember they get thinner as they go out. In the middle, thick, thin at the end. So this is where we're at. This is what we turned into. We go from go from this to this to same shit to that to that, right? And that looks pretty cool, right? So now we're gonna add our 3Ds, which is I don't know if you guys remember from the first video we went over the 3Ds, how to do it. It's pretty easy. All you do is pick a direction and draw the lines and connect them. I'm gonna do mine going to the right. I just draw lines on all the corners. And now once you do all the lines, now you connect them. Now, not everywhere is going to have a corner. That's when you kind of have to use your imagination. Like this is round right here. There's no corner there, so it's not like easy to put the thing. But just to keep your spacing right, just draw a line around that same size in that round part. And now you want to just connect it. Like that. And that keeps your lines, or that gives you your 3D. And some places you don't need to put a 3D line because it's too small. Like right here, it's too small. So right here is too small. So you don't even have to bother. But just know you have to fill that in when you start to filling in that stuff. So this is how we added our 3Ds. So it ends up looking something like that. So let's fill it in. And if you're doing this on paper, it just takes a little bit more time. I'm doing the iPad just so it's not like a long ass video. I mean, it could be longer. So you just fill these motherfuckers in real quick. Nothing crazy, just fill it in black. You're doing this with can or with marker, pencil, paintbrush, iPad, whatever, And you can do the 3Ds going any way you want. You can do them going down, to the left, to the right, towards the center. It's up to you. Mine going the same way, but it's art. You can just, however it is you feel, just do it. I'm just trying to teach kind of just like the basics that most writers do. So now we have this. This is what let's just clean up this. This is what our piece looks like so far. Obviously it could be like way cleaner, but that's just tedious shit that you guys can do on your own pieces. I'm just trying to show you guys how to make cooler looking letters. All right, cool. So this is it with the 3D. So now let's add the fill in and the inline. And when we do that, we're going to do another cool trick. So here it is. Let's just fill it in, I don't know, this color. So with the iPad, it's easy. You just fill it in like this. You just put the ink, the color, in the letter, and it'll fill it in. You guys have to do it with marker or cans or whatever the fuck. But here's a cool little trick to add a lot more style too with your inline. Copy this so we can go back later on and show the steps. All right, so now that we filled it in, let's add a little highlight. And the highlights could add like a whole bunch to the letter, and it can make it like really, really cool. It's just like this is a real fun part and also a real creative part. Most people typically will do the highlight in the same direction of the 3D. So like in our case on the right side, but you don't have to. You put it wherever you want. But So let's do it real quick. I'm just going to do like just the basic highlights where we just put them all on the right side. Like that. And remember, you want it to get thin as you go towards the end. Like that. And since these cuts right here are also part of your letter, you want to do them on the inside of those too. Okay, don't forget those. I am gonna do like a wild style piece where I just like go the fuck off. Um, cause it's YouTube, you know, people be talking shit. Um, so like, so I'm gonna do a wild style one too. Eventually, I need to clear some space off my camera on my phone because it's packed with like pretty much a bunch of selfies. Nah, just kidding. It's just packed with shit that I need to get rid of, so I could have space to do it. Because the wild styles take a while, a lot of detail in those, but it's definitely like fun. And one thing with the lettering though too, man, is like the more you put into it, the more practice you put, the better you're gonna get, the faster you'll get. So it's like one of those things where it's like practice makes perfect, and um, I think I'm a good case for that because artistically I can't draw other shit like characters, can't do them. I just do letters, but I've been doing letters since '93, you know, and pretty much never quit. Maybe like a couple months off just because whatever the fuck, you know, just needed a little break. But for the most part, I've done this my entire life. When I'm bored, I'm never really bored because I always go to this. I always go to letters. Okay, so we just put the highlights on the ends of the letters. Pretty much like the basic way to do it, all facing the same direction. But what's a cool little trick is to add um, extensions to the highlights. Now let me change the background color so it's easier to see. So for example, right here in the K, you see how like this, let me copy this motherfucker though. So you see like how here in the K, it's the white line goes here and then it stops here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna extend it and just have a line go wherever, like that. And let's do that for other parts where we can. Here, and then we'll have it kick up. Here, I'm gonna have it kick that way. This, I'm gonna have it kick like that. Not like that. I'm gonna have it go like that. And then this S part, I'm gonna have this loop around. Okay. And so you see here we added these extensions that are from the highlight, right? Now we'll keep those there for now. But what else you can do is put these little, have them extensions come off the highlight itself, like this. So the extensions are coming off of the highlight. You see? So what that's going to do is going to add some wildness to your pretty basic letters. So after you add these little lines right here, these inlines, we have to add the 3D and the black to it so that it becomes part of the letter. So let's do that real quick. Honestly, doing this on the iPad is like way easier. I would have had to go through like a bunch of paper just to show you this stuff, and it would have been like super long too. So I have to do this like little by little. Oh, well, I mean, I would have edited it to been smaller, but shorter, but for me, it would have took forever. So here we have this highlight here that doesn't have an outline, so let's just add the outline to it. both sides, remember both sides, you know, and this is where you kind of have to eyeball, like, would there be a 3D here or not? In this case, it's toward the right, so no. Right here, we added a extension, fill that in. Here, we have this extension, so trace around it. And now add the 3D if it needs it. This one needs it. So we'll add the 3D right there. This one has a little bump here, so change the 3D. Give that the outline. And since that's the outline, we now have to add the 3D part. So remember we did the lines. Yep. Another one right here. So it's kind of cool to be able to zoom in so that you guys can see the more detail. Obviously on paper, on can, you can't really do it, but zoom in at least. But this is just to show you guys. All right, now just take a look at it. Let's add some more white kicks. And wherever you add the white extensions off the highlight, make sure you add the 3D there too. Otherwise it'll look weird, but it's important to always add it. Outside of these kicks too, you can, coming off the ends of extensions, you can kind of have them coming out of anywhere to add texture. So like for this part of the R right here, we don't have anything coming off, but we can go just bring this white inline here and add a line here where there's some space. And when we add that highlight there, look, it makes it look more wild, even though it's really not. And the only thing we did was add these little cuts inside the letters, on the round parts and on the corners, added the cuts that go across the whole thing, and then cuts next to those, added the inline, and then added extensions to those inlines on these segments. And there you go. You have something that's a little bit more wild than what we originally started with. So we go from the tag to an outline of the tag with extensions to adding these little cuts to make the letter look more detailed, to adding cuts, to adding the 3D, filling in the 3D. There's the filling in the letters, adding the white with kicks, extensions, whatever the fuck, and then adding 3D to the extensions. So to top it off with like the final part of this, let's add a glow. I'm just gonna do it in white just to save some time, but we'll see how like this looks. So I'm just gonna make some of these parts thicker because you want the outline to be kind of thick. That way when you do a glow, it doesn't become too cluttered, because you can also do two lines too thin on the outline of the whole letter, and then when you do your glow next to it, it's just too much shit everywhere. So I typically like to make my lines on the outside thicker. Kind of like if you look at like comic book characters, like the detail lines are thin, but when it's like the outline of the body, like in a comic book, typically the outline of the body is kind of thick. And that's just to give it so there's not so much lines clashing with the outsides. Alright, so I'm just going to do this. Again, it's like super, like, it ain't like that clean. The lines aren't all that straight and shit. But you get the idea, and that's the whole point. It's just for you guys to, I'm just giving you pointers. You guys go with it as you want. Alright. So we're just going to add the outline here. Again, I'm just going to go super fast just to get it over with. I mean, it doesn't need to be super detailed for our purposes. It's just like a quick lesson. Plus, my phone's running out of space. I had to delete all kinds of shit. Again, the sacrifices I do. Nah. Plus, I think I need to charge my Apple Pen anyways. So yeah, first video we did on paper. This one just iPad, just so that it's quicker for me for editing and all that stuff. So this is pretty much where we are. Let's do a recap real quick. So we started off with the tag, added the 3D, or added the outline outside of the tag. We did each letter one by one. Added the little kicks, added the little cuts, more cuts, 3D, filled that 3D in, added color, added white, the inline, added kicks, extensions from the inline, added 3D or added outline to the inline, and then did the glow. And for like a last part, before we call it quits, at least for this video, let's add a little highlight in the 3D. There's different ways to do that. I like to just go from like one side and start thick and then get to thin. That's the way I like to do it. On these round parts, you want to start thick on like kind of like in the middle, or not on one side, but like on kind of like here, how it's thick here and then it thins out on both sides. On the round parts, you want to do that. We did that here too. Thick here and then thinned out on the other side. But on these corner parts, start thick on the corner part and then get thin. Sorry for the speed, guys, but my phone's running out of space. So I don't want to take too long, because then I have to delete more just to record some stuff. And here we are. This is our finished basic piece right here. Pretty cool when you go from when you start from just the tag, and we end up with that. I'm gonna do another video where we're just gonna go more into like wild style next, or more of a wild style. I'm not gonna go fully off, probably on the iPad, just so it's quicker for me to document it and to go step by step. And I also have the layers to show you from where we started to where we finished, you know. But as you can see, adding just a little bit of cuts, adding just a little bit of cuts here with the inline, the extensions of the inline, and the little cuts here, and then the cuts that go all the way through, some kicks, some extensions of the letter, and you have yourself something completely different. And just apply these little things to like all your letter drawings, and you'll start to get the feel of where they look good, where they don't look good, you know, because you can't put them in the wrong place. I think aesthetically they won't look good. Look at the middle of this R right here. You know, I could put a cut here and here. Sure, you can. It's fine. No one's gonna, you know, say it doesn't look good, but, well, that's not a good spot because it actually looks like it's part of this little ink kick. Let's just put it like here or something. I don't know. For me, it just looks kind of off, but you can put them wherever you want. No rules. But these are typically like the basic ways that people apply these types of little tricks. So if you're interested in me doing your guys' name for the next tutorial, or any suggestions on any lettering styles, I'm also going to do gangster blocks too, Old English and all that shit. Pretty good at all of them, except for 3D style. I'm not good at that. Just drop a comment, hit the follow. Check out the Instagram, which is at RockAllCity. Um, and we have lettering books for sale there. Those things are pretty cool. It has a gang of styles in there. Each letter has like 5 or 6 different styles of that letter. Has some lessons in there, how to look at graffiti. Like, it's pretty dope. You can download it, um, or you could buy a physical version. The download, I think, is like half the price. Save some paper and shit. But yeah, check it out. And remember, just keep practicing. Hit the follow, drop a comment. Let me know if you guys want me to use your name on the next tutorial. Peace.